All right, welcome to episode 9 of the Property Prescription with Tony and Phil. Today, Tony, you've got a question to ask in terms of what you're seeing on the ground with your doctors.
Yeah, so all over the news you're hearing about the 5% deposit scheme. I think a little bit controversial with whether it's a good thing, bad thing. I just want to hear what your take on that is.
I'm going to be very short because I've seen these sorts of incentives being introduced to the market for a number of years from different governments, both federal and state. All it does is artificially inflates the market by 5 or 10%. And that's it. It's not complicated. So when a young doctor wants to go out and buy their first place and they get this $10,000 or $5,000 grant from the government, they think fantastic. If it gets you into the market and helps you get into the market, great. But what it does within 3 or 6 months, property values just rise by that incentive. And it's happened time and time again. Okay, so we need to introduce different ways of making it more affordable, whether or not that's discounting maybe a brand new apartment, incentivizing developers to incentivize new home buyers buying that particular product, rewarding them. How do we get doctors into the market a little bit easier? But when you see any of these sorts of incentives, all it is just vote grabbing. It's short-sighted and it doesn't actually resolve the problem.
Years ago, I think it must have been the Liberal government that introduced the first home
They did?
buyer's grant.
Yep.
And I presume if everyone is giving $10,000, then suddenly everyone is $10,000 richer and they all have an extra $10,000 to bid
Correct.
on the house.
Yep.
So then their house will obviously just go up by $10,000.
So all the established property in Melbourne, it happened in sort of Sydney and some of the other markets where they introduced, it all just artificially increased by, they turn up to the auction, we've got an extra $10,000 to spend. It actually pushed prices up even more than the actual first home. People were pushing themselves more than the actual grant that they received.
So if you were in a position to buy right now,
yes,
you're in luck.
Correct. You've got a little window if you're a Melbourneite to do it. Go and utilise it. Go and buy a little 2-bedroom owner-occupier apartment or go and buy a little house in one of the regional centres. A lot of our doctors live in them for 12, 24 months, and then you still have the opportunity of turning into an investment down the track. So if it gives you an option to get into the market, I think it's fantastic. But in terms of an incentive or a ruling, it's never worked. It just artificially inflates the market.
Can you actually explain how it works? Well, what is this 5% incentive deposit program?
Yeah, so there's basically, your new home must be valued at $750,000 or up to $750,000 to get the grant. So what you really want to be doing, you want to be looking at property within that sort of threshold to get the grant. If you go above or below, you really want to be buying in a market where the median is $600,000 or $700,000. Now the problem is in Melbourne, the median is closer to $1 million. So you're only limited to buying a 1 or 2 bedroom unit. But if it gets into the market, great, go for it. We've seen a lot of our doctors move into the regionals. For sub 750, you can buy a nice 3-4 bedroom double fronted home. You get a lot more bang for your buck in the regionals. Geelong.
Yeah.
You can look at areas that are right on the fringe, not quite Newtown, but Manifold Heights, Bellpost Hill, Bell Park, those particular areas are really good entry points if you're looking to buy in a regional centre. Now, they've put the discount onto newly developed house and land type packages where, the Simmons and the Metricons and these types of, volume builders so you can actually buy, a property in Sunbury, for example. You can buy a 400 square metre block of land, you spend $300,000 to $350,000 on the build, and then you get your grant. So it can work in some of those middle ring or outer ring type suburbs or the regionals. But if you're looking to buy something in Melbourne, you're basically limited to an apartment. And if that's what you want to do, great.
They're going to go up in 6 months.
Correct. So if you're a doctor, you're on the ground and you're looking to buy, go and do it now. Well, we've actually written an article on this on propertyfordoctors.com.au. Jump on, grab the article, and we've done a full snapshot in terms of why we think these incentives don't work, but there's a little window now while the buying window, you've got a 12 to 18 month window of buying here in Melbourne. So go and use it if you can and go and buy.
Jeez.
It's not going to last that long. You've got another interest rate. So the problem is if we get another interest rate cut, guess what's going to happen?
It's the same thing. Let's just keep
artificially inflate the market by that interest rate. So people have another $50,000 or $100,000 to borrow in terms of buying that house. So every time you get an interest rate cut, that pushes the market even further. So it's this almost Ponzi scheme that is being built by the banks and built by these incentives. And it's, in my opinion, it's very, very short-sighted. Sorry for being controversial, but that's how I feel.
It's
never worked.
It's basic maths, isn't it?
Exactly.
You give everyone exactly the same thing, everyone's just going to...
Exactly right. Or you can segment it to, a type of area. Say you'll give a first homeowner grant for a 2-bedroom unit in a certain suburb. So say you can reward developers or reward particular suburbs where you want some growth to occur rather than just have a blanket approach across the entire market.
Because I was thinking, let's say you mentioned Geelong, the suburbs of Corio and North Lane are still really cheap.
It's cheap. And you can buy really good quality property. There's a lot of public housing commission in those particular areas, but it's gentrifying. And you can buy really good quality property for between $6 and $6.50 on a corner block that potentially could be developed in time. Great value. And there are developers, the smart developers, starting to build communities around Corio, North Lane. And we know some of those developers that are building those lifestyle communities, building townhouses rather than units, creating a community around that so people actually want to live there and stay there. Ballarat, Sebastopol, Bendigo, there's certain areas around Bendigo and those areas. On the outs, the government are trying to build people and push them into the regionals. But I just think prices will go up another $50,000 or $60,000 for a unit in the next 12 months, which is more than the $10,000 incentive.
Of course. Brilliant.
We might end it there. So if you want any more information, jump on propertyfordoctors.com.au. We've got a whole bunch of articles on this. We've written the same article we wrote and updated 10 years ago on this same incentive. So all I've done is updated that article. So if you want to get some further information, jump on. But thanks, Tony, for joining today and look forward to the next episode.